Hey, what's going on? Todd Shaw with another episode of the Sawdust Dude. Woo-hoo-hoo, yeah. Thanks for joining us, man. I appreciate you being back. Got a woodworking project today. Got a customer that wants a bar stool and turn it into a regular chair. Can we do it? Oh, yeah. Hey, stay tuned for the very end because I got some finishing tips and tricks for you. Just so much stuff packed in this video, so stay tuned. Oh, yeah. All right, so here's our bar stools, and there were 6 of them all together. So how do you break it down and turn it into a regular chair? It's really not that hard, but there are some obstacles you kind of got to work around so it kind of looks right. It's that whole, do you believe in feng shui? I kind of get the whole vibe thing, But mine's more like redneck feng shui. But anyway, so there's duct tape involved. Hey, so we got our chair here, and one of the first things that we need to do, and I got a good old Craig workstation. It comes in so handy. We're gonna flip it over on its back. One of the things I want to do is take these little stoppers off, and these stoppers like this are really just kind of just nailed in, and so it's just a little plastic piece there. And so you just want to pop these off. I've just got a chisel here. I can just slide in there and just pop that off like that. Bada bing, bada boom. Got a station over there. Now we're talking. Next step that I want to do, I want to take this the seat cover off of here, and it's just 4 little screws here. No, 2, 4, 6. Actually, just 6 of them holding it on. And so I've already figured out these are Phillips heads, so we just run a screwdriver right there and pop this cover off. One thing I want to do, not that it really makes a difference, but it may make a difference. So I want to make sure that this same seat cushion goes with this chair back. So I'm just going to take a little, and this is my 4th chair. I'm just going to come over here, or even on this tag, and mark a little 4. And then come up here on my chair and on the frame and do a little 4. That way I can marry up the seat cushion to the original chair. I'll take this this cushion, get it out of the way so we don't mess it up. Okay, you know what I'm saying? All right, so I need to identify how this bar stool is actually constructed. And so I want to take, and this is my 4th one that I've done, so I've kind of figured it out. The first one took a little bit longer, second one not so long, and you get the picture. Yeah, you'll learn too. So what I want to do here is also remove these screws here that we're holding on my seat cushion, and so I can store those separately. But I just am going to take my adjustable wrench and loosen these. But before we do that, I want to remove these rails right here that are on the chair, or if you want to call them rungs. But I need to remove these so that I can remove these 2 legs here. All right, so let's do that. And so I've already identified that it's a Phillips screwdriver, so it's all standard. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at this. I've got these little screws, and that's really the only thing that they're holding these rungs in here, or these rails. And we're about to learn something real important here about the construction. A lot of times it'll be mortise and tenon, or it'll have little dowel, little pegs in there. But actually this is, get it out of here. This is a mortise and tenon. This is actually the tenon, and the mortise is the little hole that goes in. So this is mortise and tenon construction. Now that's gonna pose a problem down the road, but ain't nothing we can't handle. So I'll work you through that one too. So that's what we're gonna do, is go ahead and just take these rungs out of here. I'm trying to do all this with one hand while I film. My buddy Jason ain't here to film for me. So you can see how that one's a little bit different. It's got a little bevel on it. And you can mark it like right here, and just so that right and left if you want to do that, but you can figure it out. I mean, it's not that hard. Okay, I believe in you. All right, here's something that's really important that we have to identify. Now, chair legs will come round, or just totally, if it's craftsman style, it'll be just all, 1.5 by 1.5 inches. It'll be squared up. On this one, it's called tapered legs, tapered. So it is narrow at the bottom and it just flares out, so it's wider at the top. And that's usually how a taper goes. Now the thing about a taper is one side's flat and one side actually has the angle on it. And so as you can look down here, this is the straight side, which is the outside of the chair, and this is the beveled end, so it goes. And you can see how that is right there. Now, if I go to the tapered side, you can see how there's about 1/8 of an inch difference right in there. And so that's gonna throw you off. That's gonna throw your cut off. So when you're measuring how much you want off, always measure on the straight side like this, and I can do a mark here. So on a tapered leg, only two sides, and this is pretty much all the time, only two sides will be squared. The other two sides will have a bevel or an angle to them. So you got to be careful, because I've seen other videos and stuff where guys are like, you know, working up a jig and trying to get a straight cut and all that stuff. Well, be real careful that you're always cutting on the squared or the straight side. Otherwise, you're going to have a beveled cut. No bueno. Okay, there's a way to fix that, but you don't want to. Let's just, yeah, you know what I'm saying? Okay, good. Now let's talk about how do you make your cut. There's all kind of ways to cut it. And so I've got my bandsaw set up already to the correct length that we want them cut, and I've got my fence over here, as you can see there, and I've also got a little 90-degree push bar here, and I've got this little extra piece of wood on here so that it'll guide it and push it all the way through, and it won't bind up the bandsaw blade. But what if you don't have a bandsaw blade? Well, Harbor Freight's got a little, I call it bonsai, it's got a little bonsai saw, or a Japanese crosscut saw, under 20 bucks, you know, and it's a saw that actually cuts on the pull and not the push. And so here's a picture of one now. It kind of looks like this. Great little saw, does a good finish cut. But so, you know, that's a saw that you can use also. Can you use a circular saw? You could, if you have a real fine tooth. You remember, the more teeth that a blade has on it, the finer cut it does. Or if you can put it on your chop saw, you can do that as well. And so whatever saw you have, you know, it'll work. And I've got my legs cut now, and this is little scrap pieces, but I want to hold on to these because these are going to come in very, very handy later on, and I'm going to show you why. So I'm even going to mark the right and the left side so that I know that that they'll match up. So I know. Now when you're cutting, this is really important to know. The thickness of the blade is called a kerf, K-E-R-F. So when you're cutting, you always want to do your cuts the same. So in other words, if I'm cutting, I may cut on the left side of the line over here, or I may cut on the line, or I may cut what they call leaving the line and cut on the right side. But what you want to do, make sure you want to do that you do all four legs the same. Whether it's you cut on the left side of the line, or you cut out the line, or you cut on the right side of the line. That way, there won't be a difference in the length of your legs, because you don't want a wobbly chair. Hey, let me show you another little quick tip that's kind of interesting. So if you get your legs cut and the thing's still kind of wobbly a little bit, on this particular chair here, and this is the seat, and this is kind of looking down, I took these bolts out here, and you see how that seat kind of wobbles around now? Well, your front legs are hooked to that. You could actually play around and say, if you know, your legs were wobbling around, you could kind of play around and see if, you know, you had some play there, and then you could kind of tighten this up. So in the way that some chairs are designed, there's actually a little wiggle room there. No pun intended. Got a wobbly. On these tenons, you know, where I cut them a little bit long, and so there was still a piece of the rung kind of on the outside. I just kind of did that too, and just kind of broke it off with my fingers because it was so thin. But I kind of used that just so you see that last one. I just kind of had to tap it in with a little hammer, and so that just makes it fit tighter, more better. All right. So anyway, yeah. So just something, a little something. So we kind of got that fixed up. The dilemma that we had, you know, with the bottom rung being right at the front there was no bueno. So we're going to take it and actually line it up like this, kind of go 5 inches back, and so that the chair has the right spread and everything's looking good. So really, I'm not really cutting any off the length because I cut those tenons off of that rung. So I'm just going to kind of make it fit because the front's wider and the front is wider than the back, so it's on a bevel. So you can see I have a little gap there in the top of this rung, and I don't want that. And so I was able to take some scrap wood and able to figure out that that's actually a 5-degree cut. So what I need to do now is just kind of bevel those things in both sides. So I got so I'll take that middle rung, put a 5-degree inside cut, just kind of like this. So instead of straight, just kind of move them in like that, and so it'll fit the contour of the bevel, how the front's wider than the back, and so that it'll fit nicely, and we'll be in business. Okay, so here's where we are. We've got where our little mortise and tenon, got the little mortise that we just filled in, and I've got the old tenon kind of in there, but you kind of still see there's a little gap in there. Well, I know because I marked my cushion. I know this is chair number 4, and there's the 4 right there, so I get my cushion back up there. But you remember I told you to save the legs when we sawed them off the front? Well, guess what? Here are the legs for number 4. Now this is why we need that, because if you've ever seen on Live Edge furniture how they've had a bow tie right in the middle of it, or I've got a buddy of mine in Inverness, Scotland. He does like shoelaces and all just kind of neat stuff. There's all kind of neat ways. If a table is checking, in other words, a big split in it, you put a bow tie in it and it keeps the check from splitting. And so you put a plug in it. Well, that's what we need to do here. We need to repair this furniture and cover up that mortise. And so we're going to take the legs that we had, and so we can match up the grain pattern and even the stain color. Now, we may have to restain it and kind of modify it a little bit, and I'll teach you that, so stay tuned for that towards the end. But that's why I wanted you to save the exact legs, because the grain pattern really is the big reason. And I'm going to show you how to make a little plug for that. Okay, so I found the right legs, and you can kind of see how the grain pattern is just perfect. And so I want to cut my plug out of this side on that particular one. And so I'm just going to go over to the bandsaw and just rip down about 1/8 of an inch. If you don't have a bandsaw, you know, you could put it in a vise and try to use like that bonsai saw and saw a little bit of it off. But you only need like a little 1/8 of an inch veneer strip. I'll show you how to do that. I've got my little veneer piece and I've just kind of marked it out of how I want it and everything. So now I just need to take my chisel and I'm gonna square this up, and I've got a little small chisel. I've got it kind of cut out, but it's still a little bit tight. So what I do, I just come over here and I know the spots that kind of need to be fine-tuned, and I just keep running it across the belt on my belt sander. And then that way I just come over here, and I do want it to fit tight. With matching up the grain pattern and everything, and I mean, I've got the stain all picked out, and so I've matched out the stain. I mean, that turned out pretty good. And so, you know, a lot of times if you just take your time, and you may have to do it 2 or 3 times. That was my second plug on that attempt, and I like to try to make it fit tight, but you know, it kind of busted the first one I made, and that's okay. I still have other pieces. But the key tip on this, man, here's a pro tip for you. Is just keep the same leg, and that way the grain pattern's running the same way, and it's the same like cut of wood, and you'll be able to hide that really, really well. You know, you and I know where to look, but the big thing always in finishing woodworking is fooling the eye. If your eye will never ever be able to pick that up. So cool deal there. And if you got friends that are like looking at the bottom of your chair legs, either they're drunk or you need new friends. Here's something that I've kind of already stained out, and just kind of looking around at that. And some of them got some light spots on them, but it may take several steps to work that out. I'm just using I've got a good Wooster brush, and I make sure it's for brushes like that. They're compatible for paint and stain, so this will be a stain application. And I don't want to, this is a general finishes wood stain. This is a water based, and pecan or however you want to say that, wherever you're from. So anyway, so I kind of took that in and matched it up, and it's like, oh, so close. I mean, it's like really good. So maybe a couple of applications, and it kind of gets the look that you want to go for. So I'm going to just kind of show you that. I mean, it's really a no-brainer, but it's just kind of how I feather things in like that. I'm going to take my brush and just kind of do almost like a dry brush technique. But I'm doing a lot down here at first, and then I kind of drag my brush, and I'm going to drag it all the way up the inside of that leg there. You see how that looks? I do have a little excess on the top like this. Just take an old rag, wipe that off. This is water-based. Reason I use water-based products like that, because in my shop, my house is upstairs. I don't want the fumes getting upstairs, so using a water-based product on this. And really see how that blends in so well. But a lot of times you just take your brush and, you know, brush down here again like this. See how that's too dark? And so I'll take my brush, and a lot of times I'll come over here, get the excess off, because I don't need any more stain. I've got enough on here. And so I just drag it out like this, and just drag it all the way up, and just feather it out like that. See how that works out? I mean, that's pretty cool. But it's always kind of, you load up your brush, put a little on there, and then unload it, you know, and kind of use a dry brush technique to get your stain in there. Wipe off the excess, and then because this is indoor, I want to put a finish over it, and I just use a polyacrylic, a water-based clear gloss over that. And so that's kind of like the next step. Now, stay tuned for the very end, because I got some other little finishing tips for you, and you'll want to hang out for that, because it's good. Hey, so I told you to stick around for the last and final steps, the little tips, the pro tips. We got it coming on, but right now I got my daughter Krista. Hello. She's gonna do some filming for us so you can get the best shot in the world. Oh my gosh. Oh, okay. Hey, here are a couple tips that when you're refinishing, especially like furniture repairs and stuff. Mohawk makes these awesome markers. Oh yeah, it's called a Pro Marker. I'm a pro, you're a pro. I'm a pro, you're a pro. All God's children, little pros. Okay, so hey, check this out from Mohawk. Comes in a whole like packet like this, so you can kind of match them up real well. And what I did was, I took one of the old legs and just kind of took my markers until I was like really happy. And so what I'm doing for the customer as well, you see how that little nick's right there, and you can kind of take that, blend that in, and I kind of take my finger and see how it just virtually disappears. Once again, we're just doing stuff so your eye doesn't pick it up. I'm not totally refinishing the furniture, but I am touching up what's kind of banged up. So coming along the chair here, along these spines here, this is a different color, but you can just kind of mark that out. See how that blends in? I just take my finger and rub it in, and here's one down here. There you see how that worked out. That's gone. So we're going through and we're getting all the little, especially on the front of the furniture here. And I want to get all these little marks here. Well, let me spin this around, just if you get this. Yeah, see on this side of the chair here, see how that's all scuffed up? Watch this. Ooh, ah. And just take my finger and rub it and blend it in, and that'll dry. So that's looking really good. Now also has, and I've used these, they're little fine felt tip markers. You gotta check these out. Now a lot of times, watch this. You can see the grain pattern in here. And if I got a repair or something that I have to do and then blend it in, these markers kind of, see you got a knot right there and something falls out and you got to take and repair that. And so you can do some fine detailed work with these little brush tip markers. And that's also from Mohawk. So basically, that's the extent of our little project. And it's just grabbing the seat cushion, popping that back on, popping my screws back in, looking for other spots that I can touch up. And that's how you turn a bar stool into a regular chair. Hey, so another cool day in the micro shop, making a little money, turning bar stools into chairs. And that's a good thing. Hey, thanks again for watching The Sawdust Dude.
And don't forget to like and subscribe.
Yeah, woo! I'll see you real soon.